GoldenEye!
Alright, Tina.
Yes, quite possibly the definitive shooter of our generation. It's killed thousands of hours, forced us all into using inverted controls. It's quite firmly planted itself as being the only Bond game.
It's true. No one else has ever been able to fill those stylish brogues, shoes, with quite the same amount of style and flair.
So, what makes this game so special?
And what helped it claim such a foothold in the gaming world?
Well, here's where it all began. GameTank presents the creation of GoldenEye.
007. The full name of the game was GoldenEye 007.
Yeah, I know that. Are we going to have to have another chat? Yeah?
James Bond.
Shooting has always been a popular genre in gaming, and over the years games like this have led to games like this. And along the way there have been some very memorable milestones in the evolution of the first-person shooter. Arguably the first FPS on a console to actually work, and one of the highest rated and biggest selling of all time, is developer Red's GoldenEye 007, released on the Nintendo 64 on August the 25th, 1997, which just so happens to be Sean Connery's 67th birthday. Happy birthday.
Thanks.
The gaming landscape was a very different place back then. As basic as it may look now, when GoldenEye came out, it was amazing.
What's even more amazing is that most of the development team had never professionally developed a video game before. What they lacked in experience, they more than made up for in enthusiasm and vision. The team were even allowed to build onto the plot of the film by adding in new sequences and embellishing existing ones to make the experience richer. GoldenEye was initially conceived as a 2D platformer for the SNES, but it was project director and producer Martin Hollis's idea that GoldenEye should be a 3D on-rails shooter like Sega's 1994 arcade hit Virtua Cop, and that it should run on Nintendo's up-and-coming hardware, then called the Ultra 64. During development, the game was taken off the rails, so to speak, to become free roaming.
What made the game so great was that for the first time you really felt that you were Bond. The guns were there, the gadgets were there, and the objectives were much more than just running and shooting. Planting explosives, hacking computers, tracking a stolen military helicopter, and, of course, protecting the girl were all part of the gameplay. But this wasn't the only way GoldenEye paved the way in striving to immerse players in a realistic world of espionage. If you shot a soldier in the foot or leg, then he would limp helplessly around in pain before you finished him off and put him out of his misery. This level of detail in the programming also meant that if you were skilled enough to pull off a headshot, then the game would reward you with a deserved instant kill.
Another great innovation came from the in-game menu system. Instead of endless boring options, Rare designed the interface so that you felt like you were in character at all times. Want to choose a different item or check your objectives? Well, Bond would take a quick look at his nifty watch, supplied by Q Branch, to access everything. And as such, you never felt like you were leaving the game world. Instead, actually feeling like James Bond in a deadly situation. And no man is an island. Oh no. GoldenEye made us rely on other characters to complete our objectives. Like when Natalia has to type in the password at the bunker before the whole place blows up. Knockers.
Who else was in it?
Robbie Coltrane. Yeah.
What? Cracker?
Yeah.
What? Hagrid from the Harry Potter films?
Yes.
What? guy from GoldenEye?
Yes.
Rare do seem to have overlooked one aspect of the realism though. We know Bond is tough, but surely no human being in the world can carry as many guns as Bond does in this game. Either Pierce Brosnan's got a very big backpack, or he's got massive hands.
To anyone who grew up with games where a tennis racket looked like a square, and a spaceship that looked like a square, and Manchester United versus Blackpool looked like a square, GoldenEye represented a quantum leap forward in home console gaming, and as such, far from suspending belief, the player is actually required to apply the rules of the real world if they are going to get out of certain situations alive.
Perhaps GoldenEye's most fondly remembered feature though was the groundbreaking multiplayer mode. Thanks to the N64's 4 control pad ports, you could play 3 of your mates at the same time, which back then wasn't a common occurrence at all. Amazingly, a multiplayer mode wasn't even conceived until very late in production. Rare initially thought it wouldn't be any fun, as all the players could see where everybody else was at all times. It was all on the same TV, but just a few months before release, programmer Steve Ellis took all the single player code and began to craft the multiplayer mode, first setting up a 2-player split screen before progressing to 4. Gamers will remember that the textures and environments were very basic in this mode, quite simply just so the console could cope with 4 times the action. But it was the gameplay that mattered, and this didn't suffer at all. There aren't any hard figures available, but GameTank estimates that 100 billion trillion man hours have been spent playing this mode over the last 13 years.
2 trillion. It wasn't just the multiplayer mode that added replay value. There were different difficulty modes, the hardest being 007 mode, naturally. And completing the various levels on this hardcore setting would unlock cheats and even extra levels if you made it all the way to the end. There was a lot to do.
Oh, wow. I think we've covered everything.
I think so, yeah.
Train level!
Loved that level. From its inauspicious beginnings, GoldenEye went on to become one of the biggest selling first-person shooters of all time. 8 million copies made their way into homes worldwide, which even beat Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time's impressive 7.6 million. Despite all the successes of the title, the sequel rights for a game based on Tomorrow Never Dies went to Black Ops instead of Rare. Maybe this was a good thing, as it led to the phenomenal Perfect Dark, the true spiritual sequel to GoldenEye. But that's a story for a future Retro Den.
From the cinematic opening to the final battle, GoldenEye 007 was an exceptional game. It's such a shame that the HD remix was canned. Apparently Nintendo and Rare's new owners, Microsoft, couldn't sort out the financial and licensing side of things. But fear not. For less than the price of a brand new game, you should be able to track down an N64 console with all the cables you need and a copy of this game and relive this classic in its original cartridge glory.
Are you still trying to think of Robbie Coltrane movies?
Yeah.
Anyway, if there's any games that you lot would like us to retro raid, all you got to do is drop us an email and we'll see what we can do. Yeah.
Nuns on the run!
Oh, for f***'s sake.
Keep it real, keep it GameTank.